Let us begin with basic differentiation formulas, no? Ang pinaka-fundamental dito sa differentiation is yung definition of D. Yung basic definition of D denotes a change. To be more specific, a very small change. Kaya kapag sinabi nating D of K, K is constant, there is no change in constant. That's why D of K is 0. Kuha? Okay. Now, derivative of KU is KDU, and derivative of U to the N is NU to the N minus 1, and derivative of UV is UdV plus V du, wherein U and V are functions. Pag sinabi nating functions, they involve variables. Okay? Now, derivative of U over V is V du minus U dV over V squared. Wherein, ulitin ko, U and V are functions. Functions means involving variables or variable. Okay? Now, when it comes to trigonometric functions, yung derivative ng sine, tandaan nyo yung sine, cosine, baliktaran lang. Diba? Sin, cos, cosine. Kaya lang yung sa cosine negative. Tapos, derivative ng tangent, tandaan nyo lang yung tan, sec, sec. Pagdating naman sa secant, sec, sec, tan. Baliktaran, di ba? So, derivative of tangent is sec, sec or secant squared. Tapos, derivative ng secant is tan, sec, 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 tan. Baliktaran lang siya, no? Okay? Naintindihan? So, kapag ka naman derivative ng cofunction yan, derivative ng cotangent, lagyan mo lang to ng negative, tapos cofunction ito, cosec, cosec. Eto, derivative ng cosec, negative, tapos cosec, cotan. So, basta tanda mo tan, sec, 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 tan. Tapos yung sa cofunction din lang nito, tapos negative. Katulad din sa sine, cosine, derivative ng cosine is minus sine. Kuha? Tapos, kapag ka naman hyperbolic functions, kaparehas lang lahat ng trigonometric functions, lagyan mo lang lahat ng h para hyperbolic function na, no? So, ang pinagkaiba lang nila, lagyan mo lang ng h lahat. Ang pinagkaiba yung unang tatlo, sine, cosine, tangent, ang derivative positive, yung ating cotangent, secant, cosecant, hyperbolic, ha? Lahat sila negative. Kuha nyo? So, plus, 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 minus, minus, minus. Unlike dun sa trigonometric, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. Okay? Naintindihan? Now, paano naman kung iba sabi natin, derivative of U to the N is N, U to the N minus 1 du. Paano naman kung baligtad? Ito, function raised to constant. Paano kung constant raised to function? Derivative ng A to the U. Ito yung tatandaan nyo. Yung anak una, panganay na anak, no? Yung anak una ay unang laban ni ama, du, di ba? Yan yung unang laban ni ama. Yung first na anak, anak una, ha? Okay? Also, kapag ka derivative ng logarithm base A of U, meron tayo derivative ng ln of U, logarithm base A. Paano kung logarithm base A? Ganito. Tandaan nyo yung sabi ng incheck. Ang sabi ng incheck, pag nagtinda ng lugaw, ubos, at tubong lugaw, ibig sabihin, laki kita. Pero kapag ka yung lugaw, hindi ubos, lugi. Ha? So, lugaw, lugi, pag di, ubos. Okay? So, dito, multiplied by du. Kapag ka yung A ay E, if A equals E, so you have here derivative ng log base A of U or this is derivative of log base e of u, this is the same as ln of u. Alam natin yan, du over u, di ba? Kasi ganito. So, if a is u, this is log base e of e. Palitan mo to ng e over u du. But log of e is ln or ln. ln of e, this is 1. Kaya this would be 1 du over u or du over u. This is the derivative ng logarithm base a of u. You follow? Maliwanag? Naintindihan, ha? Okay. Now, kapag ka naman application, madali lang yung application. Ang pinakamadaling subject sa application sa mathematics, itong differential and integral calculus. Kasi, ang method nila, ang solution, ang process, ang procedure, pare-parehas lang. Okay? Pagka na-miss mo itong process na to, itong procedure na to, ay hindi ka tatama sa mga problem. Ang process ganito. Sundan nyo lang, ha? Ang acronym niyan, GREDS. G stands for the given variable. Pag sinabi mong variable from the word vary, it changes. You will know that a certain letter or quantity is a variable if it is associated with D, with change. Pagka may D of V, V is a variable. Pag D of R, then R is a variable. So, i-identify nyo lang yung quantity na may given. No? Yung mga variable na may given value. Yan yung G. I-identify nyo rin yung mga variable na may required value. Okay? Given, required. Then, pag na-identify nyo na yung mga variable na may given and required values, ang susunod is identify mo, you find an equation between G and R. Pag may equation ka na between G and R, then the next step is differentiate. So, and then, after you differentiate, you substitute. The cardinal rule is this. Never ever substitute any given values of variable before differentiation. Lahat ng substitution ng given values of variable will happen after differentiation. Hindi pwedeng GREDS. Okay? Hindi pwedeng GRESD. Okay? Hindi pwedeng mag-substitute before differentiation. Hindi rin pwedeng GRSED. Hindi ka pwedeng mag-substitute ng given values ng variable before or prior to differentiation. Differentiation must happen last. Kuha? Klaro. Pag binayolate mo yan, ay mali ang magiging sagot mo. Kuha? Okay. Sige, paki-absorb muna. Let us have number 1. We are asked here to find dy dx or y prime when x equals 2 for the function f of x is a plus b x squared over x squared. So, bali ito is u over v. Okay? And ito ay function of x. I will presume that this is equated to y. So, if we will take dy dx or the derivative of this, which is designated as dy dx, or also simplified as y prime, this is, ano yung derivative ng u over v? That is v du minus u dv over v squared. So, the denominator v, which is x squared, times derivative of the numerator, that is du, derivative of a is 0, plus derivative of bx squared, mauna yung constant b, derivative of x squared, that is 2x, correct? That is 2, ibaba yung 2, then 2 minus 1, that is x to the 1, no? minus u dv. A plus bx squared, that is u, times derivative of the denominator, that is going to be 2x, correct? Then, all over the denominator squared. That is x squared squared, that is x to the fourth. Okay? So this one is 2bx times x squared. So your y prime is 2bx times x squared, that is 2bx cubed, minus, this is 2x times a, that is 2ax, plus 2x times bx squared, that would be 2 minus, no? So minus 2x times bx squared minus 2b x cubed, all over x to the fourth. So here, 2bx cubed minus 2bx cubed, they will cancel. We will be left with this one. Okay? So, you have here 2a x over x to the fourth, y prime is minus of 2a over x and x to the fourth, x cubed. This is your y prime. Pero ang hinahanap is at x equals 2. So, at x equals 2, you have y prime is minus 2a over 2 to the third. 2 will cancel. So, this is going to be minus a over 4. This is your derivative y prime at x equals 2. Do you follow? Maliwanag. Now, paano natin gawin to sa calculator? How do we do this in our calculator? Pwede rin. So, ang problema kasi natin dito, yung a saka yung b, they are constant. Now, remember, may choices din naman, no? Ang mga nasa choices natin, a, minus 1 half a, minus 1/3 a, minus 1/4 a, and 1/4. So, ang gawin natin, ganito. I-set natin yung a as equal to 1. Basta may mga constants, madali mo namang malaman yung mga constants sa board exam, no? Or sa given. Normally, ang ginagamit dyan ay mga letters from A to N, no? So, sometimes, kasama yung P. And normally, yung mga variables, yung mga end letters S, T, W, X, Y, Z. Yung mga ganyan, no? In here, take note, yung A and B, obviously, ginagamit as constant. So, ang gagawin nyo lang is use Padilla's sharp principle, assign any value. Okay? Kasi kung mag-iiba yung sagot, once na nag-iba yung value ng constant, then either mali yung problem or mali yung choices. So, it means the question is invalid. Okay? So, and you cannot do anything about it. So, we have here A is 1 and B, set any value for B. Wag nang 2 digits. 1 digit lang, pwede na. So, simplify natin. B is 2. Okay? Then, ipasok mo lang sa calculator mo. No? Ipasok natin. We have it in our calculator. So, we have here, yung dy dx is, or ddx is shift integral, no? Or depende sa model mo, no? So, shift integral. We want here ddx of what function? Ipasok mo lang to sa calculator mo. So, you have a 1 plus 2x squared over x squared, alpha x squared. Then, ipasok natin, ha? 1 plus 2 alpha x squared over alpha x squared, no? Then, at x equals 2, di ba? At x equals 2. Then press equals. So, ang sagot dito is negative 0.25. Now, just check yung mga choices mo ngayon. Ang mga choices natin, look, kung titignan natin yung choices dito, the choices are A. The choices are A. You have minus 1/2 of A. Since we set A is 1, this is going to be minus 1/2 or minus 0.5. This is wrong. Yung letter B natin is minus 1/3 A or minus A over 3. We set A as 1. So this is minus 1/3. And this is minus 0.25 or minus 1/4. So this is wrong. Letter C, it's minus 1/4 of A. Since A is set as 1, so this is minus 1/4 or 0.25. This is correct. Letter D. Our letter D is 1/4. So this is positive 0.25, but this is negative. So the one that is correct is letter C. Do you follow? Naintindihan? Pwedeng gamitan ng calculator basta may choices saka may value. Naintindihan? Klaro? Okay, what about this one? For evaluation of limits, all you need to do is substitute the value that the function approach or the variable approach, and this is your function. So, ang gagawin natin, so the limit of this one, itawagin na lang natin y, as x approaches 1 is this one, okay? You have 1 squared plus 3 times 1 minus 4. So, you compute this is 1 plus 3. Okay, that is going to be 4 minus 4. So, this is 0. Okay? Naintindihan? Maliwanag? Okay. What about this one? Now, if x will approach 1 in this function, so we will have here, if you substitute 1 here, you have 1 squared minus 1 on your calculator. This is 0 over 1 plus 2 minus 3. You'll have here 0. And your calculator will display math error. Pag nag-math error yung calculator, dalawa lang ang ibig sabihin niyan, or tatlo. Either infinity or undefined, or it is indeterminate, or you entered an invalid expression. Okay? So in this one, 0 over 0 in calculus is known as indeterminate form. So, pwede mong gamitin dito yung tinuro sa nyo nung college, yung L'Hopitas rule, but that will entail a longer solution or a solution that you might not know or you might have forgotten how to do. So, ang gagawin mo lang pag nag-math error sa calculator, ganito. Replace this value by a value that is a bit higher or a bit lower, no? Pagka parehas pa rin nag-error, ibig sabihin math error, ang sagot na dyan, infinity or there is no limit. Pagka ang limit ay infinity, it is equivalent to no limit. Okay? So, therefore, in here, we will have here, the limit will be equal to replace this by 1.0001. I advise you just vary by these 4 decimal values and the end is 1. 3 zeros and then 1. Yan yung i-add nyo dun sa limit. So, squared minus 1 over 1.0001 squared plus 2 times 1.0001 minus 3. You calculate this and you will get here what? So you have, so this is going to be 0.5. So without any differentiation, we were able to get the value. Maliwanag? Okay. What about in number 2? If, lagay tayong 2b ha? If x approaches 4, what is the value? Kung x approaches 4, all we need to do is substitute 4 for this, 4 squared, plus 3 times 4 minus 4. So, if you compute this, this is going to be 16 plus 12. That is 28 minus 4. So this is going to be 24. Naintindihan? All you need to do is substitute the value that x approach in the function given. Kung nag-math error, change the value by 0.0001. Klaro? Klaro. By the way, if your function involves trigonometric expression, sine, cosine, tangent, or others, be sure that your calculator is in radians. Magkakaroon ng problema kapag ang iyong calculator hindi naka-radians. Okay? So, there's an explanation to that, pero hahaba tayo. It is enough that tandaan nyo lang, pagka nag-apply kayo dito sa limits, nung technique ng plus 0.0001 or minus 0.001 to the value, be sure your calculator is in radian mode. Ha? Okay? So, sige, kopya. What about number 4? We are to determine the derivative of the change of the volume of a sphere with respect to its radius when the radius is 6 inches. So, ang hinahanap sa atin dito, the required, is d in v with respect to radius, d in r. Now, we know that for sphere, the volume is 4 pi r because this is volume, so cube over 3. So this is a constant. So if we will differentiate this by taking d dr, d dr of v, that would be dv dr. So constant, copy it, 4 pi over 3. Derivative of r cube is 3r squared. ddr of r, that's 1. So, ang sabi natin when the radius is 6 inches, so at r equals 6, we have dv dr is equal to 3 here already cancels out. So, you have 4 pi times 6 squared. You calculate this, 6 squared, 36 times 4. This is going to be 144. And this is pi. Okay? Kuha nyo? Okay. Now, punta naman tayo sa maxima, minima. Sa maxima, minima, maraming methods na tinuro sa atin. But, of course, sa panahon ngayon, okay naman yung calculator. Ang pinaka-best na solution sa maxima minima ngayon is not calculus but calculator. So, ang gagamitin yung function para sa maxima minima is yung mode table. Okay? So, let us try to have this one. Find the maximum area of rectangle that can be inscribed in a triangle with sides 4.25, 8.62, and 9.61. If you will check angle C, the opposite of side C, now you will find out that this is a 90 degrees triangle. Or you check 4.25 squared plus 8.62 squared, that would be equal to 9.61 squared. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem. So we are dealing with a right triangle. Now, ang tanong dito, find the maximum area, meaning largest area. Ima-maximize natin yung area of rectangle. Okay? Ang hinahanap yung area ng maximum area. Okay? So, of the rectangle inscribed in this triangle, the least side or the smaller side of the rectangle is on the least side of the triangle. So, ganito itsura. Now, ang pinaka first step dito is express the quantity to be maximized as a function of one variable only. So, ang ima-maximize is the area of the rectangle. So, let us express it as function either of x and or y, no? So, let us say that this one is x. So if this is x, this must be 8.62 minus x, and let me call this y. Tandaan nyo yung sa analytic geometry natin. Yung y is mx plus b. So yung b is the y-intercept. So we have here, the y is mx. Ito, very useful formula. So yung y dito is the slope of this times the x. So it is equal to the slope of this is vertical over horizontal, 4.25 over 8.62 of x. The area of a rectangle is what? It's this times this. So 8.62 minus x times y. But what is y? It's this. So it's 4.25 over 8.62 times x. Ito ngayon yung f of x. Now, the challenge here is find the maximum value of this within this boundary. So, ang gagawin mo dito, gamitin mo yung mode table. Pagka pinindot mo yung mode table, then your calculator will ask you for function of x. Enter this value, no? Ipasok mo lang to sa calculator mo. Let me do this. Mode table. So, the function of x is 8.62 minus alpha x, then equals, no? Pag na-input mo na, so, start, tatanungin ka ng calculator, start, meaning, the first value of x you want us to substitute. So, let us begin with x is 0, okay? So, x is 0 equals. Yung end value, yung last value ng x that you want to substitute, ito. So, ang last value, the greatest x, the biggest x is 8.62. So, pero, lagyan natin ng allowance. Gawin natin, let us say, 8.6, no? Okay? Then, end. Ang susunod na tatanong is the end value. Sabihin natin, 8.6 equals. Then, tatanungin ka is step. So, ipasok lang natin sa step, ang step, yung increment. Kung ang x is 0, ang start, then i-add lang yung step para sa next value, then i-add ulit yung step para sa next value. That is the increment. For example, we input the step as 0.4. Okay? Enter natin. Then press equals. Pagka-press mo ng equals, so, ang lalabas dyan is yung value ng x versus yung function of x. Remember that your function of x is the area. Ang kailangan natin is the maximum area. All you need to do is roll down your calculator and find the one with the maximum value. As you roll down your calculator, you'll notice that the value is increasing until you reach yung column, yung row number 12, where x is 4.4, no? So, you can see there that the value is 9.1547. Okay? So far, with this range and step, this is the maximum value. Okay? Now, look here. Among the choices, all the choices, this, and this are less than this. Isa lang ang mas malaki dyan. Meaning, we already obtained a value of area of rectangle bigger than this, and this. Meaning, these values cannot be the maximum value. Okay? During our first trial, on our first trial, we were able to eliminate already the 3 choices. So, we don't need a second trial. The maximum area is 9.16. You follow? Just in case there are 2 values still bigger than this one, you will have to do second trial. You just have to press AC. No? Pag press mo ng AC, press mo lang ulit yung AC. Pag press mo ng AC, babalik ka dyan, then press sa function of x, press mo lang ulit equals. Pag press mo ng equals, tatanungin ka dito ulit. back to start, and then step. Ang gawin mo dito is yung start mo, diba, before 4.4, because ang range natin dyan, step 0.4, you have 4, and then you have 4.8. Ito yung susunod na cycle, gagawin mong start, end. So you have 4 equals, then end, 4.8 equals. Then yung dati mong step, palitan mo ng isang decimal. Okay? Gawin mong 0.04 equals, ha? Sige. 4 equals 4.8 equals 0.04 equals. Okay? Then you roll it down. So as you can see here, palaki ng palaki yan habang tumatagal, and so far in our list here, the maximum is at x equals 4.32. 4.32, where the function of x is maximum 9.1587. It's even closer to this, right? So, pero dun sa 4.28 and 4.36, they are close. 9.1583 and 1575. But this is still the biggest. Kung gusto mo pang mas refined, then mag third cycle ka. This time, ang magiging step mo is 0.004, pero that is already too much, no? So this is very, very close to the maximum value. So hindi kailangan ng differentiation sa maxima minima. Ang kailangan nyo lang is mode table, or pwede ring substitution. Pero dito kasi, the one to be maximized and the one that is required are the same. So we really need to do mode table. Kung ang hinahanap is hindi yung ima-maximize but another variable for maximum another variable, then we can simply use substitution. But for this situation, you have to use mode table. Remember the first step. Express the variable to be maximized or minimized in terms of only one variable. Then use mode table. Maliwanag? Okay, sige, paki-absorb. Now, another topic sa differential calculus is the related rates. We use d dt of v. This is also d of v with respect to d of t or dv dt as the rate of change in v. Rate of change could be increase or decrease, no? So, this d dt of v is rate of change in v. It means rate of change is denoted by the differential notation d dt. So if you are to define or to denote a change or a rate of change, then that would be d dt. If a rate of change is given, it will be mentioned as a rate, or the key is the unit. So if the unit is per unit time, then that is a rate. You define that as d dt. Maliwanag? Okay, example. A balloon is rising vertically over point A. This is point A on the ground. Then, a balloon is rising at 15 feet per second. So, a point B on the ground is level with and is 30 feet from A. So, there is a point B here, 30 feet away. Now, when the balloon is 40 feet above A, so meaning when this is 40 feet, what rate is its distance from B changing? So the distance of the balloon from B, if this is S, so we are asked to find the rate of change in the distance from B. So if the distance is S, then the required is the rate of change of distance with respect to B. So that is d dt in distance S. May condition. When the balloon is 40 feet high. Kung ito ay y, ang ibig sabihin when y is 40 feet. Now, ang una nyong tatandaan dito, meron tayong procedure dito sa differential calculus, ang acronym GREDS. Given, required, equation between given and required, differentiate, substitute. Be very careful with substitution. Always remember that you cannot substitute values of given variables before differentiation. So you've got to identify first the given values if they are constant or they are variables. If they are values of variables, you cannot substitute except after you differentiate. What do I mean? For example, in here, that 30 feet is constant. It's not a variable. So the balloon is rising, but this 30 feet remains 30 feet. So this 30 feet is constant. It's not covered by what I said that you can substitute it only after differentiation. Maliwanag? Okay. Now, dito tayo. So yung 40 feet ay y. Y is changing, right? It is increasing. So itong 40 feet na to, kailangan before you substitute this, you must be done with differentiation. Are you with me? Okay. So, therefore, meron pang isang given dito, yung 15. Pero by the unit, it is clear that this is a rate. So, this is d dt. Take note, this is distance, feet. So, this is velocity. Pagka velocity, you've got to represent first the distance of the moving object from a reference point. If the distance of this from A is y, then this 15 feet per second is d dt in y. Velocity is d dt in distance. Kaya ang nauuna nating i-represent yung distance. You get it? Okay. So, etong dy dt na 15, because y is changing, there is a change in y. So, y is changing. Itong 15 feet per second na to, this is also a reserve value. You cannot substitute that before differentiation. So, ang constant lang dito, yung 30 feet. No? So, iwan kong naka-square yung naka-reserve after differentiation, yung 30 feet, pwedeng gamitin yan kahit kailan. So, ang required variable, yung S, ang variable na may given, yung Y. Okay, eto, saka ito. So, ang gagawin natin dito, find an equation between the given and the required. So, we need an equation between S and Y. That's simple. We apply Pythagorean theorem. S squared is equal to 30 squared plus y squared. Now, yung condition natin dito is when y is 40. Mamaya na. So, pagka may equation ka na between given and the required, you differentiate. Differentiating this by taking we need ds dt. So, let's take the d dt of everything. d dt of s squared, that is 2s ds dt is equal to derivative of this, 0. Derivative of y squared is 2y dy dt. 2 will cancel. You get it? So you have s ds dt equals y dy dt. Tama? Correct. Okay. So, in here, yung kailangan lang natin para ma-solve yung ds dt is we need s, we need y, we need dy dt. After we differentiate, we can now substitute. Notice that we use 30 feet, we substituted 30 feet without violation. Why? Because this is constant. Yung constant, you can use that anytime. But the values, given values of variables, you can only substitute them after differentiation. Paliwanag? Okay. Now, dito tayo. So, ang kailangan lang natin dito, may y tayo na isa-substitute 40, yung dy dt 15, Ang kailangan lang natin S. So first, when y is 40, we can solve S, di ba? Substituting to this formula, you have S equals square root of 30 squared plus 40 squared. And this is equal to 50. So we substitute to this equation. So therefore, you have, cancel na yun to S, 50 ds dt is equal to y, 40, multiplied by dy dt, 15. So you calculate this, you'll get your ds dt, the required, when y is 40, is 12 feet per second. This is your ds dt. Maliwanag? Maliwanag. Okay, you copy. Number 7. If the radius of a circle increases at rate, so this is a rate. So this is dt, which is 0.09 centimeters per second. dt in what? It's the rate of increase in radius. So that is dt in r. So r is a variable with a given value, but it is changing because this is changed in r. So therefore, this is a reserve value. Basta value ng variable, it must be reserved, can be substituted only after you differentiate. Bawal gamitin ng hindi pa nagdi-differentiate. Okay. Now, find the rate. So, our required is the rate of change in centimeter squared area, no, per second, in centimeter squared of area when the radius is 3. Ang hinahanap sa atin ay rate of change, ddt in area, when r is 3, this is centimeters. You get it? So, itong r na to na 3, again, this is a reserve value. Why? Because r is changing. So, let's use the small letter, okay? So, because r is changing. So, walang given na hindi reserve. Bakit? Kasi pareha silang nakakonect sa r and r is changing. Changing, so that is variable. So, pwede lang i-substitute to after we differentiate. So, the variables that are given and required are r and a. So, we need an equation between a and r. Madali lang. So, the area of circle we know is pi r squared. We already have the equation. Next is differentiate. So, since what is required is dA dt, the operator must be d dt. Take the d dt of everything. d dt of a, that is dA dt, equals pi, derivative ng r squared, that is 2r, d dt of r, that is dr dt. After this, we substitute. Substituting, we have 2 pi times r, 3, times dr dt, which is 0.09. You calculate this, you'll have 6 times 0.09, that is 0.54. So this is 0.54 of pi. Naintindihan? Okay, punta tayo dito sa kabila, no? So let us have number 8. If the area of a circle increases, so this is a rate of increase, 6 centimeter squared per second, because this is per second, this is a rate. This is dA dt. Tama? dA dt. Correct? So, A is a variable with a given value. Because A is changing, this 6 centimeters per second is a reserve value. You cannot substitute that before differentiation. Sabi dito, find the rate of change in centimeter per second of radius. So, ang hinahanap dito is dt, rate of change in radius. dt in r in centimeter per second when, may condition, when r is 4 centimeters. Itong 4 centimeters na to, again, is a variable. It is a reserve value. Why? Because it is a value of r and r is changing. There is a change in r. So, hindi to pwedeng i-substitute before differentiation. Kailangan tapos na mag-differentiate before you can substitute this. Okay, let's do it. So, let us have an equation between the given and the required. So, we need an equation between a and r. So, parehas lang nito. So, our a is pi r squared. So, let us take the derivative of both sides. May equation, you differentiate. You take the d dt of everything. You have dA dt equals pi, derivative ng r squared, 2r dr dt. After you differentiate, time to substitute. dA dt is 6, 2 pi times r, which is 4, times dr dt. Your dr dt, therefore, is going to be equal to 6 over this. This would be 0.24 centimeters per second. Maliwanag? Klaro? Okay. So, what about this problem? Number 9. According to the problem, a 3-meter steel pipe is leaning against a vertical wall. Na? Ito yung wall, ito yung 3 meters pipe. Yung 3 meters na pipe, pagmasdan nyo sa problem, it is not changing. Mula simula hanggang katapusan ng problem, 3 meters dapat yan. Tama? Ang nagbabago yung distance nito from this corner, tawagin nating x. Ang nagbabago, therefore, habang umaandar itong paganon, so ito lumiliit, ito lumalaki. Okay? So, both x and if I call this y, they are changing. So, lahat ng values ng x and y, reserve. Now, ang sabi sa atin, etong bottom is sliding at the rate of away from the wall at the rate of 2 centimeters per second. So, ito yung velocity nitong point na to. Ang velocity is d dt in distance. So, if the distance of this from this is x, this velocity is d dt in x. Again, this value is associated with x which is changing. So, itong 2 centimeters per second is a reserve value. You can only substitute that after you differentiate. Now, ang sabi sa atin, how fast, this is the question. Is the upper end is sliding down, how fast is velocity? So, hinahanap sa atin yung velocity nitong upper end when the lower end is 2 meters away. Na? So, nung eto daw is 2 meters. So, hinahanap yung velocity nito. Velocity is d dt in distance. If the distance from here is y, so ang hinahanap is d dt in y. So, y is a variable that is required. When, may condition, when x is 2 meters. Kuha niya? So, we need an equation between the given and the required. Ang may mga given and required dyan, ang required y, ang may given na variable is x. Na? Etong 2 centimeters per second, saka etong 2 meters. This is the value of x where dy dt will be solved against. Do you get it? Maliwanag. So, let us find the equation between x and y. That is obvious. Simple Pythagorean theorem. You have x squared plus y squared is 3 squared. Tama? So, since ang kailangan natin dy dt, let us take the d dt of everything. d dt of x squared is 2x. d dt of x, that is dx dt. Then d dt of y squared, that is 2y, d dt of y. This is dy dt. Then, d dt of constant. So, this is 0. Okay? So, divide everything by 2. This will cancel. Let me call this equation 1. To solve dy dt, we need x, dx dt, and y. Correct? So, meron tayong x, ang sabi, we need dy dt when x is 2, and dx dt is 2 also. Okay, pero eto meters, eto centimeters per second. Na? Kailangan consistent tayo sa unit. Ang kailangan na lang natin is y when x is 2. Let us solve that. Mula sa equation na to, from this equation, when x is 2 meters, you have x squared plus y squared is 3 squared, right? So you have 2 squared plus y squared is 3 squared. So your y is going to be 9 minus 4, 5. So y is the square root of 5. So we now substitute dito sa equation 1 to equation 1. You have x dx dt, our x is 2 meters. Dx dt is 2 centimeters per second. Convert sa meter. This is 0.02 meters per second. Plus y, ang y natin is what? Square root of 5 meters. Then dy dt is equal to 0. One equation in terms of dy dt. If you will solve for dy dt in that equation, what you will have will be negative 1.789, and this is meter per second. The negative sign here is an indicator that y is decreasing. Obvious, no? Habang nag-slide to pa kanan, pa ganon, yung x nag-i-increase, yung y nagdi-decrease. Naintindihan? Pag ang rate ay decreasing, it will be expressed by the negative sign. Clear? Okay, you may copy. For our third application, we apply differential calculus in finding the slope of a curve. Now, if we consider a curve here defined by the equation y is function of x, any point on the curve will be called point xy. If at point xy, I will take a very short arc. So, that arc, since that is very, very short, its curvature is negligible, meaning it is practically straight. Now, if I'm going to complete that into a triangle, so I have here, the horizontal is a very small change in x, that's dx, and the vertical is a very small change in y, so that is dy. So the slope of that small portion of curve, or that is also the slope of the curve, at that point xy is going to be, by definition of slope, that would be vertical, that is dy, over horizontal, that is dx. So the slope of a curve at any point xy is the dy dx of the curve. Maliwanag. And if I'm going to extend or prolong that small arc of the curve, then the elongation or the prolongation is the tangent line to the point. So therefore, this dy dx is also the slope of the tangent line to the curve at any point xy. So, pag ang kailangan mo ay slope ng tangent line, all you need to do is take the ddx of y. So, dito, hindi mo na problema yung given, yung required, yung equation. Given yan. Except na lang, yan yung hinahanap. All you need to do, you differentiate, then you substitute. Pero, wala kang choice, option na piliin kung ano yung differential operator mo. It must always be ddx. Naintindihan? Okay. Now, a line that is perpendicular to the tangent line at the point of tangent C is called the normal line. When two lines are perpendicular, their slopes are negative reciprocal of the other. So therefore, the slope of the normal line is the negative 1 over the slope of the tangent line. Negative 1 over this. Kuha niya? Maliwanag. Okay. Let us take number 10. We're asked here to find the slope of the curve defined by this equation. So sabi natin yung slope ng curve is equal to dy dx of the curve. So in here, kailangan natin ng dy dx. So we have x squared y minus 8 is equal to 0. So let us take the dx of everything. Now notice that this is a product uv, derivative of uv is u dv plus v du. No? So you have x squared derivative of y, dy dx. That is d dx of y, dy dx, plus v du. Y derivative of x squared is 2x. d dx of x is dx over dx. That's 1. Okay? Now, minus. Derivative of 8, 0. This is equal to 0. Ang kailangan natin ay dy dx at 2. X is 2. Y is 2. Pwede tayo mag-substitute diretso, no? Okay, pero let me express it in terms of dy dx. Your dy dx, therefore, transposing this to the right, is going to be equal to minus 2 xy over x squared. Or this would be minus of 1x will cancel, minus of 2y over x. This is your dy dx. So therefore, at point 22, at point 22, x is 2, y is 2, we have our dy dx is going to be equal to minus of 2y, 2 over x, which is 2. So this is going to be minus of 2. This is the slope of the curve at point 22. Maliwanag? Naintindihan po? Klaro? Okay. Let's have number 11. We're asked here to find the equation of normal line at point 22. Meron tayong point, kailangan lang natin ng slope. Di ba yung slope ng normal line is negative reciprocal of the slope of the tangent line? Because they are perpendicular, di ba? When lines are parallel, their slopes are equal. When lines are perpendicular, their slopes are negative reciprocal of the other. Okay? So this must be negative 1 over negative 2. Okay? So this is going to be 1/2. Now, ang kailangan natin slope ng normal line, so it must be also passing through x, y. We now define slope. What is slope? Slope is equal to change in y over change in x. Y of this minus y of this, y minus 2 over change in x of this minus x of this, x minus 2. So, our slope of the normal line is 1/2. So, all we need to do is cross multiply. You have 2y minus 2 times 2, 4, equals 1 times x minus 2x minus 2. We simplify. So, we have x, lipat to sa right, minus 2y, is equal to minus 4 plus 2 minus 2. This is the equation of the normal line. Maliwanag? Klaro? Okay, sige, kopya. Let's have this one. We're asked here to find the equation of the tangent line to the curve y equals x plus 5x squared. So this is actually a parabola because this is squared in x, linear in y. Pero hindi ko na i-detail yung pag-plot nito. I will not go to the extent of finding its vertex and the direction of opening. But this is a curve that opens up because this is plus y. It opens up. Okay? So, ang sabi sa atin dito, that is passing through 1, 3. Obviously, this point is not passing through 1, 3. Because for this curve, when x is 1, no? When x equals 1, y is 1 plus 5 times 1 squared, y is 6. It passes through 1, 6. Ito. Okay? Pero ang sabi dito, passing through 1, 3. So, this is not for the curve, but this is for the tangent line. So, kung iplaplat ko tong curve na to, lagay lang tayo ng ibang points bukod dito sa 1, 6, no? So, sabihin natin when x is 0, when x is 0 for this curve, 0, 0, y is 0. Okay? So, this is also passing through this point. Correct? So, let us say when x is negative 1, when x is negative 1, 5 times negative 1 squared, that is 5, no? Positive 5. Plus negative 1, so you have here, what? 5 minus 1, y is 4. So, when x is 1, y is equal to 4, somewhere here. Okay? So, the curve passes through this, and this. So, i-drawing ko na lang, ha? So, it is something like this one. Pag ganon, no? Ito yung ating curve. I don't know where the vertex is. Ang sabi sa atin, yung tangent line natin to this curve passes through 1, 3. So, it must be something like this. Ito yan. So, paano natin kukunin yung equation nitong tangent line na to? Naintindihan? Ulitin ko, hindi natin pwedeng i-substitute yung 1, 3 sa equation ng curve because 1, 3 is not a point on the curve. Yung 1, 6 pwede. Naintindihan? So, ang pinaka-trick dito, ito. Itong point of tangency na to, let us call point xy. This is an xy both of the tangent line and of the curve. So, this xy that is common to them, the point of tangency, is common to them, can be substituted to the equation of the tangent line and to the equation of the curve. Now, kunin natin yung slope sa point of tangency. Okay? Ulitin ko. Ano yung common dun sa curve at saka sa tangent line? Ang common, one is the point of tangency, point xy. Tama? Ito yung common point nila. Whose coordinates, we do not know yet. Ngayon, ang another common sa kanila is yung slope. Slope ng curve at yung slope ng tangent line at point xy parehas. So, we will capitalize on this. Now, let us consider yung curve. Unahin natin yung curve. Yung curve natin, ang equation is y equals x plus 5x squared. Kunin natin yung slope, dy dx. Take the derivative of everything, you'll get here dy dx is equal to 1 plus derivative of this, 10x. This is the slope of the curve at any point, including this point xy. Okay, now, punta naman tayo sa tangent line. Yung tangent line natin, anong equation? The tangent line passes through 1, 3 and passes through the unknown point xy. No? So, sabi natin yung slope ng tangent line is change in y over change in x. So, y minus 3 over x minus 1. Ulitin ko. Itong xy na to, common sa line, sa tangent line, and common sa curve. So, masasatisfy niya tong equation na to sa katong equation na to. Yung slope nitong curve na to sa xy at slope ng tangent line sa xy parehas. So, let us capitalize on that. Etong equation na to, itong x na to, x ng curve. Pero itong xy na to, x yan ng curve, x din yan ng tangent line. Tama? So, pwede nating isubstitute yan dito. Now, itong xy na to ng curve, xy din ng tangent line. Kaya ito, pwede nating isubstitute dito, pero limitado sa xy. So, I want to solve the point xy. So, kung isa-substitute ko tong x plus 5x squared na to, para sa y na to, kasi common yung xy ng curve saka xy ng tangent line, di ba? So, isubstitute natin. So, you have here 1 plus 10x is equal to, ano yung y? X plus 5x squared minus 3 over x minus 1. So, this is one equation in terms of x. Input in your calculator, shift solve, makukuha nyo yung x. Let me solve it. May makukuha ka ditong x. X is 1.775. Pwede yan. Kasi magtutuloy-tuloy ito, ito yung 1.3, papunta doon. So, dalawa yung curve. Ilitan ko ng konti yung figure ha, parang ganito. Ito yung 1.3, yung isa ito, yung isa yon, no? Naintindihan? Ito yung point na yon. Okay? So, isolve ko pa yung isa ha, doon sa figure natin. So, yung isa, x is 0.2254. Malamang, ito yung nandito, no? Naintindihan? Kuha. Dalawa lang naman yung value niyan kasi squared to, x times x, x squared. So, 2 values lang ng x. Nakuha ko ng parehas. So, paano ko nakuha tong 0.2254 sa pangalawa? Diba kanina lumabas to? Tapos, press ko ulit yung equals. Diba? Pag press ko na equals, shift solve yan. Tatanong ka ng x. Binigyan ko siya ng negative 1 para nandito ba banda. Kasi pag press ko lang ulit yung equals, lalabas ulit to. Diba? So, kailangan kong baguhin yung value dahil alam ko na yung hinahanap ko is malapit dito sa negative side, pero sa figure pala natin, mga nandito yan. Naintindihan? Okay? So, itama ko lang ha. Mga nandito. Nasa positive. So, solve natin yung y. I-substitute natin siya ngayon dito. When x is this, y is 1.775 plus 5 times 1.775 squared. Dito naman, y is 0.2254 plus 5 times 0.2254. Naintindihan nyo? And this is squared. So, solving our y here equals 0.4794. Okay? While in here, it's 17.528. Kuha nyo? May xy na tayo, kaya na nating masolve yung problem. Okay? Sige. So, how do we get the equation of the tangent line now? I-substitute natin dito, tawagin ko tong equation 1, no? So, substituting this to this one, you have m is equal to 17.528 minus 3 over x, which is 1.775 minus 1. When you solve m here, you'll get here 18.75. So, isubstitute natin ngayon to equation 1. When we substitute it to equation 1, what we will be having will be m, which is 18.75. Itaas natin yung x minus 1 dito, times x minus 1 is equal to y minus 3. So, isimplify lang natin, you'll get here 18.75 of x minus 18.75 is equal to y minus 3. So, ilipat to sa kaliwa, I have here 18.75 of x is equal to, or minus y is equal to, lipat to doon, plus minus 3, it's 15.75. Kung gusto mong maging whole number yung coefficient ng x, then i-convert mo lang to sa fraction. Naintindihan? Okay. So, ito naman yung second possibility. When y is this and x is this, i-substitute natin dito, the slope is equal to y 0.4794 minus 3 over x 0.2254 minus 1. So, your slope is going to be 3.254. Okay? So, i-substitute mo to ngayon dito sa equation 1. So, you have 3.254 times, taas ng x minus 1, you'll have x minus 1 equals y minus 3. Okay? So, y minus 3. I-simplify natin, we will have 3.25254 of x minus 3.254, lipat doon, plus 3.254 minus 3. So, what we will have here will be plus 3.254 minus 3, it's 0.254. Lipat to sa kaliwa, minus y. This is the other equation of the tangent line. Ulitin ko, dalawa yan. Ito yung 1, 3, ito yung isa, ito yung isa. Kung ito yung tangent line 1, ito yan. Ito yung tangent line 2. You follow? Kung alin sa dalawa ang nasa choices, yun yung sagot. Maliwanag? Ang common mistake nung iba ito. Isa-substitute dito yung y na to, nakuha yung dy dx. Isa-substitute yung x equals 1. Makakakuha ka ng dy dx dito, pero hindi yan yung tangent line na to. Ang makukuha mo yung tangent line doon sa 1,6. Ito yun. Naintindihan nyo? Ang kailangan natin yung tangent line sa curve that is passing through 1,3. Maliwanag? Klaro? Okay, you copy.